Captain Orax stood at the observation deck. His 4 eyes narrowed as he looked at the damaged ship floating in the docking bay. The Resilient had once been a proud light cruiser in the Galactic Confederation fleet. Now it was just a broken hull with too many problems to fix. "What a waste of resources," Orax muttered. His gray skin wrinkled around his mouth as he frowned. That ship survived 3 border skirmishes before taking that hit to the quantum core. Next to him, Engineer Talus nodded. "The damage to the quantum lattice is too severe. We would need to replace the entire system, and that would cost more than building a new ship. And yet protocol demands we offer it to the humans," Orax said with a small laugh. "As a welcome gift to the newest members of the Confederation." Talus clicked his teeth, a sound that showed amusement among his species. "They won't take it. Even those primitive apes can see this ship is beyond repair." "Let's get this ceremony over with," Orax said, turning to walk toward the meeting room. "The faster we offer it, the faster they'll refuse, and we can finally scrap this wreck." Commander Jack Wilson tried not to fidget as he sat in a large chair designed for a being twice his size. 6 months as Earth's military liaison to the Galactic Confederation had taught him patience. Aliens moved at their own pace, especially when it came to formal meetings. The door slid open, and Captain Orax entered with his team. Jack stood up and gave the Confederation salute, right hand flat against his chest, then extended outward. "Commander Wilson," Orax said with a forced smile, "thank you for coming on such short notice." "It's my pleasure, Captain," Jack replied. "Your message mentioned a gift for Earth." Orax nodded and pressed a button on the table. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing a damaged ship rotating slowly. "The light cruiser Resilient," Orax explained. "A fine vessel with an honorable service record. It was damaged in our recent border conflict with the Drex Collective." Jack leaned forward, studying the hologram with interest. He could see the damage. A large section of the hull was torn open near what appeared to be the engine section. "As Earth joins the Confederation as our newest member," Orax continued, "it is our tradition to offer a ship from our fleet as a gesture of welcome and trust. We would be honored if Earth would accept the Resilient." Jack noticed the slight twitch in Orax's upper left eye. During his time in the Confederation, he had learned to read alien expressions. That twitch meant Orax was being dishonest. "May I ask about the extent of the damage?" Jack said, keeping his voice neutral. Talus stepped forward. "The quantum lattice core suffered a direct hit from a Drex phase cannon. The core is beyond repair, and replacing it would be impractical." Jack understood now. This wasn't a gift. It was a clever way to get rid of an expensive problem. The Confederation couldn't just scrap a ship with an honorable service record without looking bad. But if they gifted it to Earth and Earth refused, they could scrap it without losing face. What the aliens didn't know was that Jack had spent most of his 6 months studying Confederation technology. He had read every technical manual he could access, and had even made friends with junior engineers who showed him how their ships worked. Jack walked closer to the hologram and pointed at the damaged section. "This is the quantum lattice that powers the ship and connects all its systems, right?" "Correct," Talus said, surprised by the human's knowledge. "Without it, the ship cannot function, and Earth does not have the technology to repair or replace quantum lattice cores." Jack circled the hologram, examining it from all angles. The ship was bigger than anything humans had built, about 300 meters long with elegant curves and the distinctive blue glow of antimatter engines. Despite the damage, most of the ship looked intact. "Earth accepts this generous gift," Jack said suddenly. The room went silent. Orax blinked all 4 eyes in surprise. "Commander Wilson," Orax said carefully, "perhaps you do not understand. This ship cannot fly. It cannot fight. The quantum lattice is the heart of all Confederation vessels." Jack smiled. "I understand completely, Captain. But even a damaged Confederation ship has much to teach us. We are grateful for your generosity." Talus made that clicking sound again, But this time it wasn't from amusement. You would accept a useless ship. One person's trash is another person's treasure, Jack said. It's a human saying. Orax looked uncomfortable, but nodded. Very well. The Resilient is yours. We will arrange for it to be towed to Earth's orbital shipyard. Thank you, Captain. Earth appreciates this welcome gift. 3 days later, Jack stood in Earth's orbital shipyard as the tug ships carefully positioned the Resilient in the largest docking bay. Next to him, Dr. Anna Foster and Tom Rivera looked up at the damaged vessel with wide eyes. When you said you got us a ship, I thought you meant something small, Anna said. She was Earth's leading expert on materials science, with 3 phases and a reputation for solving impossible problems. Is that a hole the size of a football field? Tom asked, pointing at the damaged section. Tom was a veteran spaceship mechanic who had worked on everything from the first Mars shuttles to the latest Earth cruisers. More or less, Jack admitted. The quantum lattice core took a direct hit. And they just gave it to us? Anna asked. Jack laughed. They gave it to us because they think we can't fix it. The quantum lattice technology is beyond our manufacturing capabilities. They expect us to study it for a while and then give up. Tom walked closer to the ship, his experienced eyes scanning the damage. So why did you accept it if we can't fix it? Jack smiled. Because we're not going to fix it. We're going to rebuild it. Our way. What do you mean? Anna asked. The Confederation builds ships that are perfect, elegant, and advanced. But when they break completely, Jack explained. They design ships that should never fail, while we design ships that can still work even when they do fail. Tom nodded slowly as he understood. You want us to replace their fancy quantum systems with our primitive technology. Exactly. We might not have quantum lattices, but we have options they never consider. Manual backups. Mechanical systems. Redundancies. Anna crossed her arms. They'll laugh at us. They're already laughing, Jack said. But not for long. I've assembled a team of Earth's best engineers and scientists. If anyone can make this ship fly again, it's us. Tom smiled and slapped Jack on the back. Well, I fixed worse with less. Jack looked up at the damaged vessel. The aliens thought they had given Earth a useless gift. But Jack saw potential where they saw only failure. They think this ship is weak, he told his team. Let's make it unstoppable. The next morning, Earth's orbital shipyard buzzed with activity. Workers moved around the damaged Resilient like ants, setting up equipment and scanning the massive ship. Jack had called in every favor he was owed to assemble this team. Anna stood in front of a large screen, pointing at different sections of the ship. 20 engineers and scientists watched her with careful attention. The quantum lattice isn't just damage, she explained. It's shattered. The Confederation builds these systems as a single unit. They're not designed to be repaired piece by piece. Tom leaned against the wall, arms crossed. So we'd need to replace the whole thing. And we can't build quantum lattices. Exactly, Anna said. That's why they think this ship is junk. A young engineer raised his hand. Can we buy a replacement from the Confederation? Jack shook his head. Even if we could afford it, they wouldn't sell it to us. That technology is closely guarded. The room fell silent. Then Tom pushed himself off the wall and walked to the front. Look, I've been inside this ship for the past 12 hours, he said, and I've learned something important. The quantum lattice connects all systems, yes, but most of those systems still work. They just can't talk to each other anymore. Anna nodded slowly. So if we could replace the lattice with our own connection system, we could make the ship work again, Tom finished. Not their way. Our way. Jack smiled. This was exactly what he had hoped for. Let's get to work. 3 days later, the team gathered for their first major decision. They had mapped the entire ship, identified every system, and determined what could be saved and what needed to be replaced. We can't fix it their way, Anna announced. looking tired but excited. "So we'll fix it our way." She pressed a button, and a new design appeared on the screen. It showed the Resilient with significant changes. "We'll strip out the damaged quantum lattice completely," she explained. "Instead, we'll install our best hybrid analog-digital systems to connect all the ship's functions." Tom pointed to the engine section. "The antimatter drive is actually in good shape. We just need a new way to control it. We'll add mechanical backups and manual overrides." One by one, team members explained their solutions. Where the aliens had elegant, integrated systems, the humans planned to add redundancies. Where the aliens had pure digital controls, the humans would add physical backups. Jack watched with pride as his team found creative solutions to every problem. They weren't just repairing a ship, they were reimagining it. 2 weeks into the project, a Confederation shuttle arrived at the shipyard. Engineer Tallis had come to observe their progress, along with 3 other alien officials. "Commander Wilson," Tallis said as he stepped onto the main deck, "the Confederation is curious about your efforts." Jack smiled. "We're happy to show you our progress. Tom will give you the tour." Tom led the aliens through the ship, pointing out the changes they had made. The aliens' expressions changed from curiosity to confusion, and finally to something like horror. In the engine room, Tallis stared at the new control systems. Where there had once been sleek, hidden technology, now there were visible wires, manual gauges, and physical control panels. "You've added buttons?" Tallis asked, his voice filled with disbelief. "Buttons, levers, and good old-fashioned switches," Tom confirmed proudly. "If the digital systems fail, our crew can still control the ship manually." Tallis moved to another section, where workers were installing what looked like large metal wheels on the walls. "And what are these primitive devices?" "Emergency airlock controls," Tom explained. "If power fails, you can seal or open doors by hand." By the time they reached the bridge, Tallis could barely hide his dismay. The elegant, minimalist Confederation design was now filled with screens, physical controls, and backup systems. "You've turned elegant technology into a primitive machine," Tallis said. "This ship is no longer Confederation grade." Tom grinned. "Good, because Confederation grade broke." After 3 months, the ship was taking shape. The team had worked day and night, solving problems as they arose. Many of the solutions were unconventional, but effective. Jack stood in what would be the new bridge, watching as technicians installed the captain's chair. Unlike the Confederation design, this chair was surrounded by manual controls that could operate even if main power failed. Anna walked in, holding a tablet. "We've made another breakthrough," she said. "We've managed to salvage most of the sensor array. It still works, but it needs a new control system." "Any ideas?" Jack asked. Anna smiled. "Actually, yes. We're repurposing some of our neural interface technology, the kind we use for disability assistance on Earth. It turns out it synchronizes perfectly with the alien sensors." Jack raised his eyebrows. "Neural interfaces, so a human operator could connect directly with the ship's systems." "Exactly. It's not how the Confederation designed it to work, but our tests show it's even more effective. A human mind can process the sensor data more intuitively than their AI systems." Jack thought about the possibilities. The Confederation relied on artificial intelligence for most ship functions. The idea of a human pilot directly connected to a ship's systems was something they had never considered. "This could change everything," Jack said. "If we can integrate human operators with alien technology this way, we create something entirely new," Anna finished. "Not just a repaired ship, but a human-alien hybrid that takes the best of both." 5 months into the project, the Confederation sent a delegation to check on their progress. Captain Orax himself led the group this time. They arrived expecting to see a failed project. Instead, they found a ship that was nearly ready for testing. Orax walked through the vessel with Jack, his 4 eyes wide with surprise. "You've actually made progress," Orax admitted, "though I barely recognize the ship anymore." We had to make some changes, Jack explained, but we've kept as much of the original systems as possible. They reached the engine room, where the antimatter drive hummed with a soft blue glow. Tom was there, making final adjustments. "The drive works?" Orax asked, unable to hide his surprise. "Works better than before," Tom said. "We've added redundant control systems and emergency protocols the original design didn't have." Orax turned to Jack. "And you believe this? Hybrid will actually fly?" Jack nodded. "We're scheduling the first test flight next week. You're welcome to observe." As the aliens left, Jack could hear them talking among themselves. They were still skeptical, but no longer dismissive. Tom walked over to Jack with a grin. "They still think we're going to fail." "Let them think what they want," Jack replied. "Soon enough, we'll show them what humans can do with a broken ship." 6 months into the rebuild, the ship was nearly unrecognizable. From the outside, it still looked mostly like a Confederation vessel, with its sleek hull and distinctive lines. But inside, it had become something new, a blend of alien precision and human ingenuity. Jack stood in the newly completed bridge, watching as the final systems came online. Screens lit up around the circular room, showing ship status, navigation data, and sensor readings. Unlike the Confederation design, which hid all technology behind smooth panels, the human bridge proudly displayed its controls. "It's beautiful," Anna said as she walked in. "Not in the way the aliens would appreciate, but beautiful nonetheless." Jack nodded. "How are the neural interface tests going?" Anna's face lit up with excitement. "That's why I came to find you. We've had a breakthrough. I think you need to see this." In the science lab 2 decks below, a man sat in a specially designed chair. Lieutenant Mark Jones had been a pilot in Earth's Space Force before an accident damaged his spine. Now he had neural implants that helped him walk, and made him the perfect candidate for Anna's experiments. When Jack and Anna entered, Mark was wearing a sleek headset connected to a bank of computers. His eyes were closed, and his hands rested on control panels. "Watch this," Anna said. She pressed a button on her tablet. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room, showing a complex simulation of space debris. A small ship, represented by a green dot, moved through the field of objects. "Mark is controlling the simulated ship with his mind," Anna explained. "The neural interface lets him connect directly with the ship's systems." Jack watched in amazement as the green dot navigated through the debris field with incredible precision. It wasn't just avoiding obstacles, it was finding the most efficient path through them. "This is impressive," Jack admitted, "but the Confederation has advanced AI for navigation. How is this better?" Anna smiled. "Ask him to explain." Jack approached Mark. "Lieutenant, can you hear me?" Mark's eyes remained closed, but he nodded. "Yes, Commander. I can talk while I navigate. Tell me what you're experiencing." Mark's lips curved into a smile. "It's like I am a ship. I don't just see the debris field. I feel it. The sensors give me data that my brain processes as instinct. I don't calculate paths. I feel the right way to go." Jack looked at Anna with raised eyebrows. "That's the difference," Anna explained. "The Confederation AI processes data logically, finding the mathematically best solution. But Mark processes it intuitively, like how you know how to catch a ball without calculating its trajectory. The human brain can make intuitive leaps that AI can't. And this works with the alien systems," Jack asked. "Better than we expected. Our neural interfaces sync perfectly with their sensor technology. It's like they were made for each other, even though they were developed galaxies apart." Jack watched the simulation for another minute, ideas forming in his mind. "Can we expand this beyond just navigation?" Anna nodded enthusiastically. "We already are. We're connecting the weapons systems, life support, even engineering. A human operator could potentially control or monitor every system on the ship through the neural interface. And if those systems fail, We still have all the manual backups, Anna assured him. The best of both worlds. 2 weeks later, the ship was ready for its first full systems test. The team had worked around the clock to integrate the neural interface with all major ship functions. Mark had spent hours each day in simulations, learning to control more and more systems simultaneously. Jack called a meeting of all department heads in the main conference room. It was time to make a critical decision. The ship needs a name, he announced. It's not the Resilient anymore. It's something new. Tom leaned back in his chair. How about the Phoenix? In Earth mythology, it's a bird that rises from its own ashes, reborn. Murmurs of approval filled the room. Jack nodded. I like it. The HSS Phoenix, Human Spaceship Phoenix. As the meeting ended, Anna pulled Jack aside. There's something you should see. She led him to a small observation room overlooking the main hangar. Through the window, Jack could see a group of Confederation officials being given a tour of the ship. Engineer Tallis was among them, along with several aliens Jack didn't recognize. They arrived an hour ago, Anna explained. Apparently, word has spread about our progress. These are ship designers from the Confederation's Advanced Technology Division. Jack watched as the aliens examined the ship's exterior. Their expressions were hard to read, but their body language showed intense interest. They don't believe it will work, Anna said. But they're curious enough to come see for themselves. Let them watch, Jack replied. Soon they'll see what humans can do. The next day, Mark sat in the pilot's chair on the bridge of the Phoenix. The neural interface headset was more streamlined now, designed to be worn comfortably for hours. Around him, the bridge crew took their stations. Jack stood behind him, watching as the final preparations were made. Through the viewports, he could see the shipyard workers clearing the area around the ship. All systems are green, reported the engineering officer. Power level stable. Artificial gravity active. Life support nominal. Jack took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. Either the ship would power up and prove their approach worked, or it would fail and prove the aliens right. Lieutenant Jones, begin power-up sequence, Jack ordered. Mark closed his eyes as he connected with the ship. Neural interface active, he said, his voice calm. I can feel all systems. They're responding to me. Around the bridge, screens came alive with data. The soft hum of the engines began to build. Antimatter containment stable, reported engineering. Drive is responding to commands. Jack felt the slight vibration through the deck plates as the ship's systems fully engaged for the first time. Sensor arrays active, Mark reported. I can see the entire shipyard. It's amazing. The data is so clear. On the main screen, a perfect image of the space around the ship appeared. It was sharper and more detailed than anything Jack had seen on a Confederation vessel. Weapons systems online, reported the tactical officer. All defensive systems responding. One by one, each system came online. There were small issues here and there. A power fluctuation in the lower decks, a communications glitch, but nothing major. The integration was working. Commander, Mark said, opening his eyes and looking up at Jack. The Phoenix is ready. Jack couldn't help but smile. 6 months ago, the Confederation had given them a broken ship as a joke. Now they had created something unprecedented, a true hybrid of human and alien technology. Well done, everyone, Jack said, looking around at his crew. We've just proven that something the Confederation thought was impossible is actually possible. But this is just the beginning. He walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars. Now let's show them what this ship can really do. Word spread quickly about the Phoenix. 1 year after receiving the damaged vessel, Earth was ready to demonstrate its creation to the Galactic Confederation. Admiral Lewis, commander of Earth's Space Force, arrived at the orbital shipyard to oversee the final preparations. You've done something remarkable here, Jack, the Admiral said as they walked through the ship. But the Confederation still doesn't believe it will work properly. Jack nodded. They think our modifications are too crude, too human. Then let's show them how humans do things, Admiral Lewis replied with a smile. I've arranged a special demonstration. The test would take place in the Epsilon training range, a complex asteroid field used by the Confederation for advanced ship training. The course was designed to test a vessel's navigation, weapons, and defensive capabilities. As the Phoenix approached the training range, a small fleet of Confederation observer ships took position nearby. On the bridge, Jack could feel the tension in the air. They've sent quite an audience, Tom remarked, looking at the tactical display showing 7 Confederation vessels. I count 3 military ships and 4 science vessels, Mark reported from the pilot's chair. And Captain Orax is commanding the lead observer ship. Jack wasn't surprised. Orax had given them the damaged ship expecting failure. Of course he would want to witness the outcome. Lieutenant Jones, take us into start position, Jack ordered. Let's show them what this ship can do. Mark closed his eyes as the neural interface activated. Connected to all systems, he reported. The ship feels eager. The Phoenix moved smoothly to the starting point of the course. On the main screen, the asteroid field spread out before them. Hundreds of rocks ranging from the size of a car to the size of a small moon. This course was designed for ships with quantum navigation systems, Admiral Lewis explained to the bridge crew. No human vessel has ever completed it successfully. Until today, Jack said confidently. The Admiral nodded to the communications officer. Signal the Confederation that we're ready to begin. A moment later, Captain Orax's face appeared on the screen. Commander Wilson, he said formally. The standard course time for a light cruiser is 12 minutes. The record is 8 minutes, 43 seconds. You may begin when ready. Jack nodded to Mark. Take us in, Lieutenant. The Phoenix entered the asteroid field with remarkable precision. Mark guided the ship through narrow gaps between rocks, his mind directly connected to the ship's sensors and engines. 3 minutes in, reported the tactical officer. We're ahead of standard pace. On the observer ships, the Confederation officials watched with growing surprise as the human vessel navigated the course faster than expected. Engineer Tallis studied the sensor readings with particular interest. The ship's movements are different, he noted to Captain Orax. Less calculated, more fluid. It's the human pilot, Orax replied. They're using neural interface technology to control the ship directly. Tallis's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. That's not how our ships are designed to work. Evidently, the humans didn't read the manual, Orax said dryly. Back on the Phoenix, Mark guided the ship deeper into the course. Now came the combat portion. Automated defense drones would simulate attacks, and the ship needed to evade or neutralize them. Drones activating, reported the tactical officer. 20 targets approaching from multiple vectors. Mark didn't open his eyes. Through the neural interface, he could sense the drones more effectively than by looking at a screen. I see them. Preparing defensive measures. The weapons officer's hands hovered over the controls, but he didn't need to use them. Mark was controlling the ship's defense systems through the neural link, responding to threats almost instantly. Target neutralized, Mark reported as the first drone was hit by a precision beam. Second target, third target. One by one, the drones were disabled. The Phoenix moved with surprising agility, dodging attacks while launching its own. It wasn't just the neural interface that made the difference. It was the combination of all their modifications. The hybrid systems allowed the ship to perform maneuvers that a standard Confederation vessel couldn't match. 7 minutes elapsed, reported the tactical officer. We're on pace to break the record. Jack exchanged glances with Admiral Lewis. They were proving their point more dramatically than they had hoped. Then the unexpected happened. One of the asteroid fragments broke apart, sending a piece hurtling directly toward the ship at high speed. There was no time to evade. Impact imminent, shouted the tactical officer. The asteroid fragment hit the Phoenix square on the port side. The ship shuddered, and several systems went offline immediately. Main power grid damage, reported engineering. Switching to secondary systems. In a standard Confederation ship, this would have ended the test. Their vessels were designed around the principle that systems shouldn't fail, so they had few contingencies for when they did. But the Phoenix was different. Manual controls active, Mark reported calmly. Switching to backup systems. Neural link still operational through secondary pathways. Jack watched in amazement as the damaged chip continued through the course. The manual controls they had installed, the redundant systems, the mechanical backups, all of these primitive additions were now keeping them in the fight. Propulsion at 60%, reported engineering. But we're still moving. On the observer ships, the Confederation officials were stunned. They watched as the damaged vessel continued through the course, completing objectives even with compromised systems. Impossible. Talus whispered as the Phoenix disabled the final drone target. The ship shouldn't be able to function after the main system's failure. The Phoenix crossed the finish line at 10 minutes, 12 seconds, not a record time, but extraordinary for a damaged vessel. As the ship docked with the main Confederation station, Jack and Admiral Lewis prepared to meet with the observers. The crew of the Phoenix were jubilant despite the damage. They had proven their point. Captain Orax and Engineer Talus boarded the Phoenix with a delegation of Confederation officials. They toured the damaged section, seeing firsthand how the human modifications had allowed the ship to continue functioning. Your ship was hit badly, Talus noted, examining the damage. Yet you completed the course. That's the difference, Jack explained. Your ships are designed to never fail. Ours are designed to keep going when they do. Orax studied Jack with newfound respect. You've created something unexpected, Commander Wilson. Not a Confederation ship, not an Earth ship, but something new. The best of both worlds, Jack agreed. We kept what worked from your technology and added what was missing from ours. As the aliens left, Admiral Lewis patted Jack on the shoulder. Well done, Commander. The Confederation is officially impressed. They've requested detailed information on all your modifications. Jack smiled. And what did you tell them? That we'd be happy to discuss a technology exchange, the Admiral replied with a grin. On equal terms. Tom joined them, wiping grease from his hands. So what's next for the Phoenix? Jack looked around at the ship that had once been considered trash. Repairs first. Then we show the galaxy what humans and aliens can accomplish together. The Phoenix had survived its first real test, but greater challenges and greater triumphs lay ahead. 3 months after the successful test, the Phoenix had been fully repaired and improved even further. The damage from the asteroid had taught the team valuable lessons, and they had added even more redundant systems and manual controls. The ship now served as a joint human Confederation vessel, with a mixed crew learning from each other. Mark Jones had been promoted to captain, with Jack serving as his executive officer. The Confederation had assigned several of their engineers to study the human modifications, including a junior engineer named Vex, who had become Tom's eager apprentice. The Phoenix patrolled the outer regions of Confederation space, far from the core worlds, but important nonetheless. It was a routine assignment, perfect for a ship still proving itself. Entering the Krell sector, Mark announced from the captain's chair. His neural interface headset was now a sleek, barely visible device that wrapped around his left ear. Jack studied the star map on the main screen. Mostly mining colonies and outposts in this region. Should be a quiet patrol. Little did they know that their routine mission was about to turn into something much more dangerous. Deep within Confederation headquarters, Captain Orax stood before the High Council, his face grim. The reports are confirmed, he said. A previously unknown species has launched attacks on 3 outer colonies. They call themselves the Vexar. The council members murmured among themselves. Admiral Krell, head of the Confederation fleet, leaned forward. What do we know about their capabilities? They use some kind of quantum disruption weapon, Orax reported. It targets our lattice-based technology. When hit, our ship's systems shut down completely. Have we lost vessels? Asked a council member. 4 patrol ships and 1 battle cruiser, Orax confirmed. None could defend themselves after being hit by the disruption weapon. Admiral Krell's face darkened. Deploy the 7th Fleet to the border. We must contain this threat immediately. There's one more thing, Orax added. The Phoenix is currently patrolling the Krell sector, near where the latest attack occurred. The human ship. Admiral Krell asked. Recall it immediately. It's too valuable to lose. I've already sent the order, Orax replied. But there's a possibility they'll encounter the Vexar before they can return. On the Phoenix, the communication officer turned to Jack with concern on her face. Sir, we're receiving an emergency transmission from the mining colony on Krell 5. They're under attack. Jack moved quickly to the station. Put it through. The screen flickered and showed a panicked colonial administrator. Behind him, people were running and smoke filled the air. This is Administrator Benson of Krell 5. We're under attack by unknown vessels. Our defenses are down and our communication systems are failing. Please, anyone who receives this. The transmission cut off abruptly. Jack looked at Mark. How far are we from Krell 5? 20 minutes at maximum speed, Mark replied. We've also received orders from Confederation Command. The communication officer added. We're to return to base immediately. All Confederation vessels are being recalled due to a new threat. Jack frowned. They want us to abandon the colony. The message says the enemy has weapons that disable Confederation technology, the officer explained. They've already lost 5 ships. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Everyone knew what that meant. The Phoenix might be the only ship in range that could help, but they were being ordered to retreat. Mark sat up straighter in his captain's chair. How many people live on Krell 5? About 4,000 colonists, Jack answered. Mark's jaw tightened. Set course for Krell 5, maximum speed. Captain, the communications officer said carefully. That contradicts direct orders. I'm aware, Mark replied. But we're not going to abandon 4,000 people. Send a message to command explaining our decision. Jack couldn't help but smile. It was exactly the choice he would have made. All stations, prepare for possible combat, he ordered. This is what the Phoenix was built for. The Phoenix dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Krell 5. The scene that greeted them was grim. 3 alien vessels, sleek and predatory in design, orbited the mining colony. Several buildings on the surface were already burning. Enemy ships detected, reported the tactical officer. Configuration unknown. Not in Confederation records. They're scanning us, added the sensor officer. They've noticed our arrival. One of the alien ships broke orbit and moved toward them. Its design was angular and threatening, with weapons boards visible along its hull. They're charging weapons, the tactical officer warned. Shields up, Mark ordered. Prepare for evasive action. The alien ship fired, a strange, pulsing beam of energy that struck the Phoenix directly. The ship shuddered, and several alarms sounded. Quantum systems failing, reported engineering. Main computer offline. Sensor grid destabilizing. On a normal Confederation ship, this would have been the end. Without the quantum lattice to coordinate systems, the ship would be helpless. But the Phoenix wasn't a normal ship. Switching to manual controls, Mark said calmly. His neural interface flickered but remained active through the backup systems. Activating secondary power grid. Around the bridge, screens went dark for a moment, then lit up again as the backup systems engaged. The officers switched to manual stations, using the physical controls the humans had installed. Weapons operational through backup systems, reported the tactical officer. Manual targeting online. The alien ship hesitated, seemingly confused that its weapon hadn't disabled the Phoenix completely. They're not expecting us to still be functioning, Jack observed. Let's use that surprise. Target their weapon systems and fire when ready. The Phoenix fired its main cannons. The shots were less precise than they would have been with the main computer, but they still struck the alien vessel. The enemy ship reeled, then quickly moved to re-engage. "They're adapting," Mark warned, preparing to fire again. The next minutes were intense as the Phoenix engaged in combat, despite its damaged systems. What should have been a quick victory for the aliens turned into a real fight. The human modifications, those primitive backups and manual controls, were keeping the ship in the fight when Confederation technology would have failed. The alien vessel fired again, this time striking the Phoenix's engines. The ship lurched violently. "Main propulsion damage," reported engineering. Switching to emergency thrusters, Mark's face showed strain as he maintained the neural connection through the chaos. "We need to end this quickly," he said. "Anna, do you have that special package ready?" Anna, who now served as the ship's science officer, nodded. "Ready, Captain. It's untested, but it should work." "Do it," Mark ordered. Anna activated a specially designed probe, one that combined Confederation technology with human ingenuity. It launched from the Phoenix and sped toward the alien vessel. "The probe is transmitting a feedback pulse into their scanning systems," Anna explained. "It should overload their sensors." The effect was immediate. The alien ship's weapons went silent, and it began to drift. "It worked," Anna exclaimed. "Their systems are in reset mode. They can't attack while their sensors are rebooting." "Target their engines and weapons," Mark ordered. "Fire everything we've got." The Phoenix unleashed its full arsenal. Without their defensive systems, the alien ship took severe damage. After a brief but intense barrage, the vessel went dark. "We've disabled them," reported the tactical officer. "The other two ships are breaking orbit. They're retreating." A cheer went up on the bridge. The Phoenix had not only survived an attack that had disabled 5 Confederation ships, but it had also driven off the attackers. 2 weeks later, Captain Orax stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, which was docked at Confederation headquarters. The ship had returned with the disabled alien vessel in tow, providing the Confederation with invaluable intelligence about the new threat. "You disobeyed direct orders," Orax said to Mark and Jack. "But in doing so, you saved a colony and captured an enemy ship. The Council is conflicted about how to respond." Jack smiled. "What's the verdict?" "You're both being commended for exceptional service," Orax replied. "And the Phoenix is being designated as the prototype for a new class of vessels, hybrid ships that combine Confederation technology with human adaptability." He looked around the bridge, at the mix of elegant alien technology and primitive human controls. "I gave you a broken ship because I thought it was worthless," Orax admitted. "You showed us that nothing is beyond repair, and that sometimes imperfection is strength." As Orax left, Mark turned to Jack with a smile. "Not bad for a ship that was considered junk." Jack nodded, looking around at the bridge crew, humans and aliens working side by side, learning from each other. The ship wasn't weak, Jack told them. It just needed the right kind of strength. And as the Phoenix prepared for its next mission, it carried with it a powerful message. Sometimes the greatest innovations come not from perfection, but from learning how to adapt when things go wrong. The ship that was once too broken to fix had become the model for the future, a future where humans and aliens built something stronger together than either could create alone. The end.